Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Live from iRacing's virtual Circuit of the Americas in virtual Austin, Texas. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the second round of the Cross Series League Racing Championship live on Apex Racing TV. Happy that you're all able to join us here today for the GT3 cars at Circuit of the Americas, presented by Dangeruss. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Alongside with me in the commentary booth tonight is Avery McDonald and Scott Rankin, with our producer Marco Barbonera down in the virtual production trailer, and race control for today's race provided by 24/7 Race Control. Avery, we're coming off the heels of an exciting first round at Road Atlanta, and it's Trevor Anderson that is leading the way at the front of the points championship. But we're coming to a bit of a completely different racetrack. We're going from a track that is normally suited for IMSA racing now to a large, big Formula One circuit. This is going to be a very different race than last week.
Oh, absolutely. Last week we saw Trevor Anderson and Marino Reyes both had two totally different types of cars. One was really good on straights and one was really good on the corners. So we go to a completely different track. So we might see the roles reversed, but I know there's Tyler Campbell, who finished third last week, that he wants to get another spot 1 or 2 up on the podium. So I mean, it's COTA, it's GT3 cars. Every race I've seen here has been phenomenal. So we're in stakes for a good one.
And Scott, we're going racing for 19 laps here today, and that fuel window is going to come into play. They will need to make one pit stop, and it seems like a lot of drivers are going to go for that halfway mark, but we could see some extra strategies come into play.
Under and overcutting it's definitely difficult at COTA because you've got the first sector where that aero wake is incredibly unsettling towards the car, and then you've also got the long back straight, you've got the long front straight, you've got multiple sections where you actually do want the draft. So choosing when and where to under and overcut is definitely going to be tricky. If I'm looking at that, I'm probably looking to come 1 lap early, and the reason for that is 1 to 2 laps early. The reason for that is I want to get clear of that car behind, but then I also want to put him in my wake and see if that causes him any disruptions. See what that does to his performance, see if I can disrupt him a little bit. Ultimately, if we're in a pack scenario, maybe it's a couple of laps extra, see if you can completely clear that pack.
Hard braking zones aplenty around Circuit of the Americas, 20 turns around this course, and we're going to see some exciting hard braking down up into turn number 1, I should say, through the S's all the way down to turn number 6, and then, like Scott mentioned, that long back straightaway off the heel of turn 11, going down into the harsh braking zone of turn 12. It's going to be an exciting second round of the championship here, and we have a lot of fun things coming up on the future schedule for this series as well. We'll see Interlagos and Monza to end out the GT3 portion of the calendar. Then we head to the dirt oval portion of the calendar with Bristol, Cedar Lake, Eldora, and Knoxville. The asphalt oval side, iRacing Super Speedway, Talladega, Indianapolis, and Daytona. And we'll cap off the season with dirt road racing, Crandon, Bark River, Wild Horse Pass, and Wild West for the best of iRacing short course. We'll take a short break here on Apex Racing TV, and then we'll get right back here for the start of the round number 2 of the Cross Series League Racing Championship from Virtual Circuit of the Americas. Time to take a look at your starting grid here for today's round from Circuit of the Americas. It's Josh Clogg and Fiercely Forward Racing on the pole with a 2-minute 4.404. Trevor Anderson for race pace will line up on the outside of the front row. It's Tyler Campbell and Adam Thompson sharing row 4. Bobby Ross and Ashley Molyneux sharing row 3. Robert Schwinkler and Aaron Tribble on row 4 with Jerry DePiero and Jaden Darling rounding out the top 10. James Truitt and Mike Sorum round out your top 12, and rounding out your entire field, it'll be Robbie Laurel, Kevin Irwin, Jimmy Howitt, Chet Duranik, Tyler Coates, and Steve Benavides. 18 drivers getting ready to go racing here from the Virtual Circuit of the Americas, and we'll have a bit of an abbreviated pace lap as the field is going to be lined up at the exit of the turn 16, 17, 18 chicane, and then they'll have a short pace lap through the final couple of corners and back to the front straightaway to get started. Avery, starting with you, we've seen the domination from Trevor Anderson, who got the win 1 week ago. Do you think he can keep up that momentum?
I think he's got a good possibility to keep up that momentum. He showed a lot of speed, and then what really impressed me last week is he had a lot of pressure, and he didn't crack under pressure. And you come to a track like COTA, there's a lot more opportunities to have mistakes under pressure, but, you know, starting P1 on the front row with the guy you battled last week a little bit, so, I mean, if I was to pick somebody to win, he'd definitely be one of the drivers I'd pick.
Scott, really quickly before we go green, it was Josh Clogg who ended up getting the pole, and Adam Thompson is right there with them. Do you think it is going to be a bit of a spoiler on Trevor Anderson today, or do you think that number 211 can get right back to the front?
Look, it's a tricky track, and 19 laps around here is no mean feat either. This is really going to demand a lot from the drivers, and like you said, last week they had setups that varied and, you know, created pace in different sections of the course. I think it's going to be that. I think, most importantly, we don't know, you know, where these drivers are creating their pace, and ultimately that leads to phenomenal racing. If I'm going to back anyone in, it's hard to go past Josh Clogg. That is a phenomenal pole lap.
He did set an amazing time in that Fiercely Forward Racing number 13. Getting ready to go racing from Virtual Circuit of the Americas. Field exiting turn 17 and 18. Now, famously, where Max Verstappen and Kimi Räikkönen got into each other, leading to Max Verstappen's penalty. Just a handful of years to go. But we're not racing Formula One cars around COTA today or NASCAR stock cars. We are racing GT3 machines. The official iRacing pace car will make its way into the safety of pit lane. It's Josh Klog on the inside, Trevor Anderson on the outside. It'll be Lamborghini versus Porsche on the start of this race. They exit turn 20, and we are racing from Virtual Circuit of the Americas. The leader is now on the loud pedal as the green flag is going to fly, and we are underway. Good getaway for your leader, Josh Klog, but it's not going to be good enough as Trevor Anderson going to pull up side by side, right on the tires, down into turn number 1, harsh braking zone. Multiple cars trying to dive it on in. They're 4 wide for a moment. Back there for P4. They stay 4 wide, trying to get it settled out. Some contact between a Mercedes and a Porsche, but they get it settled out. Now a Mercedes and a BMW are going to go side by side. Schwenkler going to try and grab that spot over Aaron Tribble, but out in front it's all Josh Klog, Trevor Anderson, Adam Thompson, Ashley Molyneux, and Robert Schwenkler round out your top 5 as they race their way out of turn number 6 for the first time.
Yeah, Klog was able to get that good start. You know, it was a little rough, but you know, take a look at those drivers that are back around 5th and 6th place. You know, 4 wide, it's very wide, and then it just starts to narrow up, and pretty clean. But Adam Thompson goes around, and he's down to all the way down to 14th.
The 244 spins from right outside the top 5. Here's a move being made. Tribble on Schwenkler, and Schwenkler gonna slam the door on the number 60 of Aaron Tribble. The Mercedes car now is gonna stay in P number 5 as they race down the long back straightaway for the first time.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled here. This is where the draft is really going to be strongest. Multiple opportunities to make multiple moves, and it looks like that Ferrari right there is also running a high downforce setup.
Out of the first hard braking zone, they make their way into turn 13. Inside it's Klog. Anderson trying to make a move on the outside. Lamborghini versus Porsche. The 211's gonna have the advantage. That race pace number 211 down to the inside. Hard onto the brakes as they go through the left-hander. He's gonna take the lead. Here comes Josh Klog trying to go back on the inside, leaving a little bit of room as that 211. The 13's gonna take advantage. Side by side as they work their way through turn 18, and right around goes Josh Klog right back to the lead.
Yeah, Anderson was pushed wide there in the corner, giving room to Klog, and that helped Klog get that lead, and he's gonna, not 100% sure, but he's got a good opportunity to lead lap number 1. But the one thing I want to say is, as you see on your camera, look at the gap between Anderson and Schwenkler, 2nd and 3rd place, and that top 2 is starting to pull away a little bit, and they need to make a good run here to start to pull away.
2 seconds separating 2nd and 3rd right now as Schwenkler for Dangerous Motorsports works his way up the hill. Side by side going into the first corner. Down on the inside, that's the 5 of James Truett. Outside, Tyler Campbell. Truett gonna make a move on Campbell. Tyler Campbell down 5 spots where he originally started this race. Starting in 3rd, currently running in 8th. Trying to get back by James Truett as James Truett is up 4 spots from where he originally began the day, from 11th, currently sitting in P7 as they work their way through turn number 5, now through turn 6, and they enter one of the many tricky portions of this racetrack. Still running right in that striking distance is Campbell. Will he be able to get back by the number 5 as they work their way into the straightaway off turn 10, down into the hard braking zone 11.
Changes actually this Porsche in the very, very recent history within iRacing. So look, right now the Porsche definitely struggles to get its tires fired up, and that's what you're seeing. It generally takes the longest, and it's really, really unstable on brakes early on in that stint. It works its way in, and then it generates phenomenal grip, and it's actually a really, really good car. I think if you keep your eyes on it, I think he's running a really low downforce package as well.
Tyler Coates fell way down the order, now currently running in 18th. That 407 fell right down the order. We'll see if we can see what happened to him as Campbell gonna go right back down the inside of Truett. He'll take that spot away, back up into 7th. Truett will fall back to 8th. Right now your top 5 are relatively
Truett's around.
And one more around, that's Adam Truett in 9th place, and he'll collect the 69 machine of Mike Sorum.
Yeah, they're all glued together right now, and Truett just looked like he had a little bit too much speed going in the corner, and that just kind of looped him around. You hate to see it for James Truett. Here comes a good replay.
Taking a look, focused on Mike Sorum, and you can see True spun right in front of him, and it's got nowhere for Mike Sorum to go there. He saw him just a little bit too late, slammed on the brakes, and that was all she wrote.
That and thinking for half a second, I think Mike Sorum was halfway through his own sort of spin, so regardless of whether or not the Audi was parked there on the apex, I think that accident would have happened anyway.
On board with 10th place, currently the number 7 of Kevin Irwin. Just got passed by Adam Thompson in the 244. Irwin still up 4 spots from where he started the day in 14th to run now inside the top 10, but trying to get back to Thompson as Thompson gets a little bit tight going through the middle of that corner, has to slide up the racetrack. He's now going to be trying to run away from Irwin, and he's going to do exactly that as DiPiero makes a move on Schwenkler to move up into P7. Howitt going to make a move on Sorum a little bit further back to grab that spot away, and you can see that damage to the front end of the BMW of Mike Sorum. That has to spell the end of his race. Avery, if that car has aero damage, they're just going to ruin all performance on that BMW.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any damage on these GT3 cars are going to hinder the performance, but I like what he's doing, just sticking through. He's got the damage and not giving up. I mean, that's when you're looking at a sim racer and one that's not, it's easy to just hit that escape button and give up, and he's still pushing away. But who's pushing away from the field? That's Clog and Anderson. The gap has grown to 5 seconds, and they're just pulling away very nicely from 3rd and 4th.
And we mentioned in the opening, Scott, as we take a look at the battle for 3rd between Aaron Tribble and Ashley Molyneux. Oh, a bigger battle going on back here with Sorum going back down the inside of Howitt. But we mentioned, Scott, during the open, these drivers will have to make at least 1 pit stop here today based on the amount of fuel they were able to fill these GT3 cars up with. They also have 2 fast repairs that they can use. So on that pit stop, Mike Sorum will be able to get a brand new car, get all of his damage fixed, and get back out on the racetrack. He just needs to make it to that pit window so he's not pitting off cycle from everybody else in the race.
Yeah, it's the difficulty for Mike here is that if, oh, here we go, actually he might send it down the inside.
Exactly what he's gonna do as the 42 car of Chet Duranek gonna get split down the middle.
Oh!
He spots and makes contact with Jaden Darling in the 81, and off goes the 81 machine for Ferris Shifters. Contact as the number 42 started falling back in this field. You can see it here. Did the 42 come down a little bit? Yes, he did. He came right down into him. Avery, I have to think that's going to be one the stewards are going to be looking at, because Darling held his line, and it looked like the 42 turned straight down into him, but we're not officials up here. We got to leave it on to them.
Oh, Darling was just put on a really good run and just had a really, just making good pace, and just the incident happened, but it's an unfortunate circumstance for him. But we got a nice battle here for the battle for 11th, and what I really like about this series is you take a look on the scoring, timing and scoring tower, all the different manufacturers. It's not just all Lamborghinis or all Porsches or all Fords, but a good blend of manufacturers, which makes this GT3 racing real enjoyable.
We are going to see GT3 racing for 2 more rounds of the championship as we get started in this season, and Kevin Irwin is off in the number 7 McLaren, and it'll get passed now as well by Scott Benavides. Let's take a look at what happened for Irwin. It looks like he's going through the uphill portion of the racetrack and just loses the back end of that car, Scott. Very easy to do in that off-camber section of turn 9.
Yeah, especially in cooler track temperatures as well. The rear end of the car starts to come around, and then it just wants to keep going. The traction control kicks in, and you think you might be able to control the slide. You think you might be able to correct it. It just snaps back around. So easy to do, especially in the McLaren of all cars. The 3 cars that you're probably a little bit worried about going through there is probably the Audi, the Lamborghini, and the McLaren. I mean, the Ford registers in mine, but we've only got one of those in the field, so they're a little bit less of a concern. Yeah, unloaded rear end, just tries to control it. This is going to be an interesting race because we talked about it. We've now got multiple cars with damage, and it's about getting to that fuel window. You don't want to have to stop that extra time. You're just going to play yourself completely out of contention.
It's Josh Clog leading the way. You can see the battle as they work their way through the S's and onto the curb. We'll go Trevor Anderson, and he's going to go off. He is off the track, having to get back onto it. The 211 with a mistake. That's going to lead to Josh Klog opening that gap up to about 2.5 seconds now. As we take a look at a battle for third place, it's still Molyneux versus Tribble. Ferrari versus Mercedes as they work their way now through turn number 9, trying to avoid those orange curves on the inside line. That is going to lead to these cars getting immensely upset. They'll work their way through turn 11. Can Molyneux use the slipstream? Bit of deep braking, trying to get by the number 60 Mercedes, a triple up in front. The slow motion motorsports number 45, trying to use the slipstream, use the draft down the back straightaway, up the hill. She's gonna look down to the inside on the 04. Will she be able to make it? They are side by side as they go into the braking zone at turn number 12. Cars following behind. That's Bobby Ross and Tyler Campbell trying to join this fight, but the 45 up the inside will grab the spot, put Molyneux up to third.
Yeah, Molyneux just stepped out perfectly to make that pass on Tribble, who Tribble's been running really well. He's up 4 spots, and take a look at the battle behind them. That's Campbell and Ross, but man, Molyneux had the opportunity and went for the pass. You have to do that. Take a look back from Molyneux onto Tribble, and the one thing I've been watching Molyneux so far this race, Joshua, is she has a lot of good pace, and then when the opportunity came, she went for it, and that's just what you like to see in a driver that, you know, not timid and just goes for it. That was just an impressive move by her, and we're back to the battle for 11th. 10th.
And I gotta say, Mike Sorum might have the best driver picture of anybody in this series, just putting that out there. But Sorum did get by Jimmy Howitt once again to move his way up into the top 10, and Scott, one of those drivers involved in that earlier incident that we covered here. Really the only incident on the racetrack that led to a good bit of damage that we can see on their car. And like you mentioned, waiting for that fuel window, but it's going to be coming up relatively soon, as we can expect drivers to want to cut this race in half, really pit around lap 9 or 10, so they know they're good to the end on fuel. That's coming up now in about 4 to 5 laps, so they're going to need to start thinking about when they're going to come in, and if they do, what adjustments they might want to make, and if they want to burn a fast repair.
Well, I mean, GT3 cars, you can't make a hell of a lot of adjustments in these things. Well, the only thing you're really going to be able to tweak is actually those tire pressures. Other than that, it's going to be ABS and traction control kicking in. Those are really the only 3 things you can really make the adjustments to. You can actually change the throttle mapping, which saves a little bit of fuel. I was actually considering that at the start of the race. Is there an option for a lot of these cars that are running in the draft to save a little bit of fuel? Extend that fuel window out, save a little bit of time on pit road. The BMW from this class used to be the king in terms of fuel saving. Not so this season, it burns a fair bit more. Now it's actually the Mercedes, so if you have a look at any Mercedes in the field, keep your eye on them when we come to the pit window. They may pop out a little bit higher than when they went in.
We just saw Schwenkler make a good move on the forward of DiPiero. Now back to the battle between Tribble and now Bobby Ross behind, as Ashley Molyneux starting to pull away from this group in her Ferrari, and now it's a double Mercedes battle here with a Lamborghini watching in the background, or sorry, a Porsche watching in the background of Tyler Campbell in the 3 as they run their way out of turn number 18 down into turn number 19, scrapping for positions but keeping it civil right now. We would like to take a moment, thank the title sponsor of this race here today, the GT3 cars at Circuit of the Americas for Cross Series League Racing. It is Dangeruss. Dangeruss is a top 3D visualization firm specializing in high-quality 3D product, CAD, packaging, rendering services, and photorealistic product visuals. They specialize in automotive subjects and have extensive industrial and consumer product design experience. Let them help you visualize, promote, and communicate your designs. Visit them at dangeruss.net. We'd also like to take a moment to thank a handful of other sponsors that are helping to put on the Cross Series League Racing season here on Apex Racing TV, starting with Acer Engines. For over 30 years, Acer Engine Supply has been rebuilding and restoring engines of all shapes and sizes in the Colorado Springs area. Today, their attention to detail and commitment to customers remains unchanged. From restoring an old classic to getting your daily driver running again, Acer Engine Supply will get you back on the road. Visit them at acerengines.com. I'd also like to take a moment to thank Tumble Pies Tanning Tumble Pies Tanning offers full spectrum UV treatments and custom organic sugar-based DHA airbrush solutions. Located in Corte Madera, California, they are the only salon in the U.S. to offer these services. Red light therapy and blue light therapy beds also available with a doctor's recommendation. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/TamTanko. That is facebook.com/TAMTANCO. Currently working lap number 7 here at the Virtual Circuit of the Americas. It's Josh Colligan in front and Jimmy Howitt into the wall. From 12th place, the Ferrari slams into the tire barrier in the 37 as we have a battle brewing now. Tyler Campbell gets by Aaron Tribble for 5th. The 60 car continuing to fall down positions. Avery.
Look at that battle for these positions, battle for 4th, but right in front of him is Mono, who's pulled away about 2 seconds. We're going to take a look back at a replay of Jimmy Howitt and that Jim Perry Racing number 37, and just gets a little curb there, a little too much curb into the kitty litter, but missed the wall. Just clipped it a little bit.
We've talked about it, Scott, those curves on the inside. We saw the 211 of Trevor Anderson get into them a handful of laps ago. You can get on the red and white dashed curbs. Those aren't really hiked up as much, but you get on those orange, I think a lot of people call them sausage curbs or turtle curbs. They just send you right into the air, and these GT3 cars with not a lot of suspension to be able to handle that.
I mean, if anything, cars on iRacing, like GT3 is among the best that can actually ride those, Josh. And I mean, if you have a look at things, they can actually ride the upside of that, but it's the same. The reason they're called turtles is because that's exactly what they're like. You ever played Mario Kart? Turtle coming your way. That's what it feels like. They can take just the tiniest little bit of it, but that's just crossed the line, unfortunately, for Howard. And, well, that's how it ends, unfortunately.
Back on board with Aaron Tribble in the 60, battling Tyler Campbell in the Porsche. Here on board the Mercedes is Campbell going to move down to the inside, block that move that the 60 was trying to make. They'll roar back onto the back straightaway, and the 60 machine of Aaron Tribble stays in 6th place for Alter Esports. Taking a look at 3 cars here. Bobby Ross, Tyler Campbell, Aaron Tribble, all in the battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th respectively as they roar back into the corner, and a hard braking from Aaron Tribble. He gets into Campbell, who gets into Ross. 2 cars off in turn number 12 at Circuit of the Americas. And the 60 involved, the 33 involved, and the 3 of Campbell as well. A harsh move. Tribble made it just a little bit too late.
Yeah, take a look at that display braking.
There it is. Avery, it just looked like he made it just a little bit too late. Campbell maybe tried to block it off a little bit too late as well, and that led to the contact.
Yeah, when you're following somebody and you get into a tight braking zone, it's a little more difficult than when you're running by yourself, and it's really hard to judge. And you know, that's might have what happened, but you know the good thing though is all 3 cars are still on the track racing each other. Tyler Campbell making his way down pit road. Expect to see some pit stops soon.
First taker on pit road that didn't have extensive damage. Jaden Darling, Robbie Laurel, and James Truitt have all come down into the pit lane, lap 3, 3, and 2 respectively. This is the first one, I think, Scott, that they're going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, and it's not really going to hurt them too much as Campbell makes his way into the pit lane. Now the question is, who's going to follow them in and try and make this their strategy, as we're going to be nearing on 10 to go once the leader Josh Klog comes across the start-finish line. We could see a lot more cars marking their way down into the pit lane.
Yeah, there's a couple cars right throughout the field with that little bit of damage whereby they're just trying to limp. You know, the penalty for them over the last couple laps has been maybe half a second in terms of straight line speed. It's not enough to really force that pit stop, so you'll start seeing a couple takers anytime from now. Actually, with the impact there from Aaron Tribble, it wouldn't surprise me to see him come down pit lane as well. But ultimately, Aaron Tribble's had a phenomenal race up until that point. If you look at it, he made quite a few overtakes there, especially on the first couple laps. He picked it up. He was doing a phenomenal job. Obviously, faster drivers around him. He eventually worked his way backwards, but he's gained so much out of that.
Handful of cars now working their way into the pit lane. That's Jimmy Howitt and Kevin Irwin that'll make their way in towards the back of the field. There's Jaden Darling, already made a pit stop. Bobby Ross up here, running P4 now after that incident. He's still on track with Aaron Tribble. Look at that rear wing, Avery. It is bent. That has got to be hurting the performance on the 33.
Yeah, it does look a little bit. And if I'm in Bobby Ross's situation, I'm going to come down pit road, because if you pit a lap early, it's not going to really make much of a difference. You're just taking fuel only. You might as well limit the amount of laps you're going to make with a damaged race car. So we'll see if Bobby Ross will make his way down pit road.
We'll see if Aaron Tribble does as well. As you're on board with him now, Tribble stays out, so does the 33. But here's the move to the bottom of the racetrack for Aaron Tribble on Bobby Ross, and Tribble not going to be able to get the power down exiting turn 20. He will stay in 5th place, still looking for that 4th spot though, as they run their way up the hill to turn number 1. Not going to be able to get close enough. He'll look to the inside, but it's not going to be enough to even get side by side. Bobby Ross will continue to pull away from P4. Josh Clogg, Trevor Anderson, Ashley Molyneux, your top 3, and you're taking a look at the battle for 4th right now between Ross and Tribble, 4th and 5th. Robert Schwenkler in the BMW, just a little bit behind this group, as he continues to run from 6th place, and the battle for 4th continues with even that damaged number 33, Scott. It looks like Aaron Tribble still able to run relatively well. Sorry, Bobby Ross with the damage, able to still run relatively well, and Aaron Tribble, who was also involved in that incident, he's still running fairly well on the racetrack, these two Mercedes.
Yeah, actually, if you have a look at things, Bobby Ross is actually a 2nd off pace, so that's a lot of damage, and that's really pulling him back right into the grasp of Aaron Tribble. I actually think Aaron Tribble would have really struggled to keep up with him in terms of raw pace, was there no damaged car there. And something that was actually very interesting to note, Bobby Ross, actually for me, I think he wanted to go to the pit lane that last time by, but Aaron Tribble got down to the the left-hand side of him, prevented him from taking that pit road entry line, which meant that Ross was forced to stay out an extra lap. That could be trouble in terms of his race prospects.
Inside 10 to go now. Josh Clogg will come across the start-finish line on the front straightaway, and we will have 9 to go here in round number 2 of the Cross Series League Racing season. 2nd season of the series, and we start with the GT3 cars. Obviously last week at Road Atlanta, this week at Circuit of the Americas, and Josh Clogg setting a new fastest lap, 2:04.712, an amazing time from the number 13. Looks like a move made. Jaden Darling, I believe this is on the 82 of Scott Benavidez. Yes, it is. The 82 on the inside goes way wide at turn number 1. You can see Avery, he went full lock on that steering wheel trying to get it to turn, and it went absolutely nowhere, and right around goes the 81.
Yeah, that happens when you drive it in a little bit too deep. But I'll tell you what, who's really impressed me is this Bobby Ross. Got that damage, but still maintaining a, is about a 2nd off, but maintaining a really good pace. And Tribble just trying to hang on there. I'm a little shocked they haven't pitted yet, but that's why I'm in the commentator's booth for a reason.
Kevin Irwin looks like he had to pit twice, and I believe James Truitt, same thing with him. They're both back into the pit lane. Truitt now exiting the pit lane as we wait for a handful of your leaders to come down into the pit lane. Still waiting on Josh Clogg, still waiting on Trevor Anderson, still waiting on Ashley Molyneux, Ross, Tribble, Schwenkler, Thompson, DiPiero, Sorum, Deranek, Benavidez, and Howitt have all not come down into the pit lane just yet. They are still waiting to make their pit stops out here on the track as we take a look at your race leader, Josh Clogg. Led every single lap, had a little bit of a battle I shouldn't say a couple of laps ago now, towards the beginning of this race, when he had that battle with Trevor Anderson in the 211, Scott, but that mistake going over the turtle curb, and like you mentioned, it's like a turtle in Mario Kart, sends them the opposite way of where they want to go. Now 6 seconds behind, 6.5 to be exact, from your race leader, Josh Clogg. The 13 just needs to nurse it home, and he's going to be able to come home with a great finish here, especially coming off of the heels of Road Atlanta, where I don't believe he even made a start last week. So this is going to be truly great for him to show everybody really what he's capable of out here on the track.
Yeah, on screen as well, position for Robbie Lurrell around the outside here of Scott Benavidez. Yeah, look, I mean, ultimately, in terms of Trevor's mind, there's 2 kind of ways that he would be looking to attack this. Really good over-under opportunity. This is phenomenal driving. He can get this move done. Could get the power down, unfortunately. Look, yeah, in terms of things to Trevor Anderson, I think he was actually pushing a little bit hard. I think Josh Clog definitely had him covered in terms of pace. And Trevor said, look, I've got to go for it. If I'm going to be able to contest this guy, I have to push, I have to push, I have to push. And unfortunately, when you push just that little bit too hard, you make a little mistake like that, it's going to cost you everything. You lose the draft, and then all of a sudden you can't keep up with the car that's ahead. Ultimately, he may be suffering from a little bit of front splitter damage as well. It means that the front tires just aren't making the best contact. What that generally means as well is that you're going to start overworking those front tires, heat them up maybe just a little bit too much, which means you don't have the same grip integrity on those front tires as the car ahead, and slowly you just drift back. Right now, he'll just be second's a great point stay at the end of the day, and you know, I think that's probably what his target will be.
Scott Benavidez went off track there as Scott was talking and lost another position to Robbie Larold. It looks like that 82 might be having a little bit of issues with understeer, overdriving a handful of these corners. We also saw Adam Thompson in the Ferrari make his way into the pit lane to pit on lap number 11. He exits from P9. We'll have to fight to keep that top 10 from Mike Sorum. Back on board with Aaron Tribble as he is about 5/10 back from Bobby Ross as they go into the hard braking zone of turn 12. Takes a peek to the bottom, and it's not going to be enough. Great defense right now from that Mercedes of Bobby Ross, and still waiting on both these drivers to come in. And the leader is in. Josh Clog gonna pit from the lead. The number 13 car for Fiercely Forward Racing is in. Now let's see if the 211 is also gonna come in. No, he won't. He's back on the front straightaway. Trevor Anderson is going to retake the lead. Question is, for how long? Ashley Molyneux is going to follow the leader, Josh Clog, in. She makes her way into the pit lane. Bobby Ross and Aaron Tribble. What's going to happen with these two Mercedes? Who's going to be the taker into the pit lane? And it doesn't look like. Yes, Aaron Tribble is coming in. Bobby Ross is going to stay out on the racetrack. In the number 33, he'll go into second place at the moment as Clog is going to exit, and Bobby Ross going to go right up the hill. It's going to be close. Can Josh Clog hold on to a tap 2 spot? No, he cannot. He'll restart from third on the exit of the pit lane with 8 to go.
I like what Bobby Ross did, you know, had battling with Tribble, and when I'm driving a GT3 car, I like to pit by myself. This way I don't have to worry about slowing up too much, or I can just drive it in there and know my marks and get to the speed limit. I want to say something though about the points. You'll see drivers like Trevor Anderson, Josh Clog, and Bobby Ross, drivers that are, you know, very good GT3 racers. They want to get as many points as they can because you're going to a big 410 sprint car next week, and if that's not your favorite car, you want to get all your points right now.
And we should also mention, Scott, that well, Avery mentioned we're going into a 410 sprint car, very high horsepower, a very light car in just a handful of weeks as we take a look at the battle between the number 33, actually, the 42, a lap machine, gonna let Bobby Ross go for second place. But Scott, as Avery mentioned, we're switching cars in a handful of weeks, but we're gonna switch cars to asphalt oval cars and then to dirt road Pro 4 trucks. We're not going to come back to the GT3 cars this season, so if you are a GT3 ace, it is COTA, Interlagos, and Monza that you need to make up as much points as you can to get a good start to the season, as the 211 and Trevor Anderson is going to come into the pit lane.
Yeah, and what an interesting selection of courses as well. They create good racing. Red Atlanta last week, a lot more difficult. Very difficult to get the overtakes done. There are definitely spots where you can do it, but there are also a lot of corners where you can't make overtaking. COTA, a little bit similar. It's got sections of the track where you can definitely make overtakes, but a lot of it is single groove. So, and then from here we head to Interlagos Monza. Those tracks are just great for side-by-side racing. They promote good racing. They ask everything from you as a driver. In terms of a series, if I'm putting together a cross-series race like this, they have selected probably 4 of the best tracks. You've got your high horsepower heaven in Monza. You've got your high downforce tester mixed with outright speed at both Interlagos here and at COTA, and then you've got your bump and grind. You've got to rise up and over those rides. You've got to dip back down into the troughs. You've got to make sure you drive that car to complete, not a precision. Oh my god, is that actually a pit stop overtake for Trevor Anderson?
It is indeed the 211 of Anderson is now going to take the lead. Josh Klog going to have to fight from second. The first time all day, Trevor Anderson is going to have the upper hand on Josh Klog. Now, what is that 13 Lamborghini going to do to get back around the 211 Porsche of Anderson? Campbell going to be able to come out in third place. Ashley Molyneux going to fall to fourth after the pit stops. Bobby Ross came into the pit lane as well. They're going to be in fifth. Schwenkler, Thompson, as of now, DiPiero, Tribble, and Darling round out your top 10 as you're on board with the 211 Porsche of Trevor Anderson for race pace. Down the long back straightaway here at COTA, he leads the way. Avery Klog is going to have to fight from second for the first time in this race.
Yeah, he's going to have to battle with Trevor Anderson. Trevor Anderson, 40 seconds on pit road. Josh Klog, 45 seconds. Less fuel taken for Anderson, so he's definitely pushing the limits. So I mean, he's just hoping he can make it to the end of this race. With obviously he took less fuel, and Josh took a little more conservative. But on lap 14 of 19, we got a battle brewing for the lead, and it's between Anderson and the Porsche and Klog and the Lamborghini.
If the 211 is good to the end, that means that they can be full push here even with less fuel taken. Like you mentioned, it is a vast difference in pit lane time. But Scott, they only pitted one lap apart, so if Klog took just enough to get to the end, you gotta think the 211 is gonna be running low on fuel as Klog gets very close, not able to get to the inside of the 211 in turn 20.
And you've also got to remember that Klog has been the faster of these two drivers so far, and ultimately, if I'm looking to defend and I'm fuel compromised, I want to make sure that I'm the faster driver, that I can carry it a little bit deeper. Look, if Trevor Anderson has to make some pace compromises to get that car to the end, it is very, very likely that he could actually be completely in he saved 40 seconds on pit road. It may just be enough. He only needed to add 6 laps worth of fuel. Look, I mean, it's going to be tough. Ultimately, I think Klog's just overfilled that car is my understanding of it.
Klog now in second, albeit by only about 3/10. He's able to keep the 211 reeled in as they go through turn 8, turn number 9, through the kink of turn 10. Here is where Klog might be able to make something happen in the slipstream for the 211. Running down into the corner, the 211, you can see him lunging on the entry to the corner. He is braking much later than Josh Klog, and it seems to be working as he stays in front. 4/10 the gap, but they're coming up on lap machines.
Yeah, Anderson's definitely pushing the limits that he has to. I mean, the last couple laps, he's been running a little bit quicker than Klog, so the pressure's on for Klog to get back up to Anderson. I tell you what a great job by Trevor Anderson to catch up and get up to pass Klog, because it was looking like the Klog show, and right now it's Trevor and Josh trying to get this W, and with time starting to tick away, lap 15 and 19.
Diving once again into the corner. Klog trying to continue to get up to the back bumper of the 211, but it's getting very difficult. And Scott, you can see it right now. Sun's starting to go down, track's starting to change, albeit slightly. We're not going to be finishing at night, so to speak, but the track is going to start to cool down even more than it already was. They worked their way past the lap machine, pulling way out of the way. Now it's just Anderson and Klog to fight, racing on the front straightaway.
Yeah, and if you actually keep your eyes peeled, Trevor Anderson's actually starting to pull away a little bit. Initially, I thought Klog might have been running the lower downforce setup, but I was just watching the last couple of laps and the way that their cars are handling. It's actually, I think, Trevor Anderson who's running the lower downforce setup between the two of these. Having said that, the Lamborghini does rotate itself really, really nicely through the high downforce corners, and that's generally one of its strengths. So I'm now not really sure, and Trevor Anderson, for my liking, has just gone, he's found a rabbit and he's pulled it out of the hat here.
Working our way on lap number 16, 5 to go from the virtual circuit of the Americas. It is Anderson versus Klog at the front of the field. And now they continue to work their way through the back straightaway at COTA. And going on to it right now as they work through turn 11. And you can see the track temperature, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Avery, that's only going to go lower as we pass roughly about 8:22 p.m. sim time.
Yeah, 73-degree track temperature down in Texas. It's a cold night. They probably got the coats on if that's what it was down there. But I want to say something about Trevor Anderson. He's putting on a good race pace, as is his teammate from Tyler Campbell, also from race pace. Fighting with Mono for that final spot on the podium. These two drivers, I mean, they've been neck and neck this whole time. So the battle is for first and the battle is for third.
Tyler Campbell in third, Ashley Molyneux in fourth, and Molyneux starting to work her way closer to the number 3. Last time by 2:07.71 for Ashley Molyneux versus a 2:08.39 for Tyler Campbell. So the 45 starting to work her way up to the back bumper of Tyler Campbell. Update on the battle for the lead. Not much to update. Roughly about 7/10 separating these two drivers at the front of the field. Anderson versus Clog. Anderson trying to go back to back as he's your current points leader with 35 points. Got the win 1 week ago at Road Atlanta and is trying to go back to victory lane for a 2 in a row here from COTA. But Clog is not gonna let them have it that easy as he's trying to reel him in, Scott, but it's getting ever so difficult. As you can see, Clog last time by 2:05.22, Anderson 2:05.01. Anderson lapping slightly faster than the 13.
Yeah, but this lap by, if you actually have a look, they are so much closer, and Josh Clog is right underneath that rear wing. We're coming to the back straight. This is exactly where he needs to be. That drop gets stronger and stronger and stronger the closer you are, because the gap, the hole in the air that's being punched by the lead car, it's bigger the closer you are. The further back you are, that air starts to come back down and fill in that space behind the rear of the car in front. So the closer that he is, the faster he's going to travel. But then again, COTA is so much about high downforce. This is such a tricky move to try and set up here with the track temperature coming down.
Hard on the brakes, going down into turn number 12 is the 13 of Josh Clog. It's fiercely forward racing versus race pace at the front of this field. And Avery, I don't think it's really that bold to say that the 13's just a little bit better through these more technical sections. He really catches up through the Sector 1 S's, even through turn 6, 7, 8, and 9, the really technical braking zones there. But on the hard braking zones and on the high-speed straightaways, the 211 has the 13's number. He's going to need to pass him coming out of the S's. That seems to be the best place for Josh Clog to really get up to the back wing of the 211.
Yeah, Clog's definitely getting through the S's, but, you know, Clog's in a good spot. You got a couple laps to go, and he can pick and choose where he wants to make the pass, and if he wants to wait till the final, till the white flag lap, he could. But the quickest time of the session was just ran by Josh Clog, and he's just right on his bumper there. So just he knows what he wants to do. It's not the first time he's probably been sitting in second, but if I was him, the S's are where he's going to try to really get that pace and make a move.
On board with the 13 once again. They are going to reach up on another lap machine. Believe it's the 69 of Mike Sorum in his BMW from 9th place. Clog working his way out of the S's through turns 6 and 7. He'll go up the hill through 8 and 9. This is where Clog is the best. You can see him trying to use all the track limits he possibly can. Slingshot onto the straightaway through the turn 10 kink. Trying to catch up to the back bumper of the 211. Not going to be close enough in this braking zone. How much can he improve on this braking zone? He will be able to reach a little bit closer with the 211 with an amazing exit coming out of turn 11. Down the back straightaway here at COTA and up the hill. Clog trying to use the slipstream, but the 211 Porsche is running away.
Yeah, and that's a big, big problem. Phenomenal job there by the BMW to get out of the way. He recognizes that both of these guys are coming. They want to fight. Keep your eyes peeled here. This is where Clog is going to try and set this move up. He was so strong through this sector in the first couple laps, and he got the move done on the 211 of Trevor Anderson. This is going to be a close fight right the way to the end. There's only one more lap to go after this one.
They'll come to the front straightaway and take the white flag here from COTA. The battle is going to be decided. Clog gets close through turn 18, right on the back bumper, down to the inside of Trevor Anderson. Anderson shuts the door on Clog. They'll work work their way through turn 20 and take the white flag. Clog might only have a handful more of opportunities. This is the white flag lap. Can Clog get by? You're on board with the 211 as they cross the start-finish line and run up the hill to turn 1.
All the pressure's on Anderson to hold off the hard charge on Josh Clog, who's led this whole race, and Anderson able to get through turn 1 very cleanly. Clogs gets a good exit. They're gonna go side by side, almost there, but man, this, make sure you tune in. Don't switch the YouTube link. This is killer. This is the best racing I've seen in a long time.
Through the S's for the final time. Clog able to close into roughly about 2/10. How close is he gonna be? Can he make a move on Anderson? Down into the hard turn 11 braking zone. Through turn 7, they'll go uphill to 8. Clog made a look to the inside, not able to get there in time. He'll go right on the back bumper of the 211. He'll try and look to the inside. Anderson throws the black through the kink, down into the braking zone. Who's gonna be able to outbrake one another? Down into the corner of turn 11. It's gonna be Clog in second. Anderson keeps the lead as they go down the back straight for the final time.
And look at everything that Josh Clog is trying to do. He is not giving this fight up by any stretch of the imagination. He has exceeded track limits multiple times on this lap. Ultimately, I think he's lost the opportunity because he was trying to go too deep into the hairpin coming onto the back straightaway. He lost the line. He compromised his exit so heavily. He's deep here.
Going hard into turn number 12. He's still right on that back wing. They'll work their way through the final sector for the final time here from Circuit of the Americas. Through turn 18, 19. They'll spit out into the corner. Clark makes a harsh move and they make contact. They both slam into each other. Clark with a huge move, trying to take the lead away from Anderson. Anderson gets the best of it. Slight damage to the 211 Porsche. He'll stay out in front. Clog went for it. He attempted the move. He spun around, made contact with the 211, but at the end of the day, it'll be Trevor Anderson making his way through turn 20 to win the war from Circuit of the Americas. He goes back to back in Cross Series League Racing competition. Trevor Anderson, your winner from COTA.
Wow, look at that.
Unbelievable way to finish. And Tyler Campbell looking to come home third. Ashley Molyneux in fourth.
Man, I tell you what, I got to give some credit to Josh Clog there because, yeah, he sent it in there, and I think he realized he made that mistake and say, Trevor, go ahead. I mean, I can't win a race like this, and what a race. This Cross League, I mean, every race we had, we take a look at this replay, has been phenomenal. Yep. Had the opportunity.
To the bottom, and it just went right around on him, Scott.
He was never making that move. Ultimately, where he positioned the car and this sector of the racetrack is probably his final chance to really get that move. He is very, very strong through the next double right, high downforce double right-hander, but he had to have a go. And if you have a look, the section I really want to have a look back once again is from Josh Clog's driver point. This shot right here is going to tell the story. He gets a reasonable run here. He's definitely strong under the brakes. He tries to send it to the inside. There's a little dip in the road there, and the rear end of that car comes around. If anyone has ever driven the Audi and the Lamborghini, you know that this thing is a little unstable, a little unsettled. Through those high load scenarios, you have to be very careful with how you manage it, and he just overdrove the car.
James Truitt will be the last car to come across the start-finish line to finish this excellent race from Circuit of the Americas here tonight for Cross Series League Racing, the second round of the championship, proving to be an exciting one. And we'll take a look at your full race results here on Apex Racing TV. An excellent move during pit stops for Trevor Anderson in the 211 to walk away with the win. Josh Clog comes home in second after going for a move down into the braking zone of turn 15. Tyler Campbell, Ashley Molyneux, and Bobby Ross round out your top 5. Robert Schwenkler, Adam Thompson, Jerry DiPiero, Mike Sorum, and Jaden Darling round out your top 10. Robbie Laurel, James Truitt, Tyler Coates, Scott Benavidez, Aaron Tribble, Chet Deronak, Jimmy Howitt, and Kevin Irwin rounds out the 18 drivers who took the green flag here tonight. And as we enter the post-race show, we will get an interview with your race winner, the 211 of Trevor Anderson. But right now, we would like to thank more of the sponsors that help put on the Cross Series League racing season here on Apex Racing TV, starting with Nexus Fabrication. Nexus Fabrication specializes in metal fabrication and manufacturing for commercial, residential, and custom projects, as well as signage, furniture, and metal repair work. Visit them at nexusfab.com. We also would like to thank Laketown Creations. Family owned and operated, Laketown Creations builds custom, heartfelt creations using wood and other materials for your home or office. We can turn your vision into reality. Check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/Laketown Creations. Time to speak with your race winner, Trevor Anderson, in the 211 Porsche. He's joining us here in the Apex Racing TV booth now. Trevor, what a race. First of all, just talk about the beginning part of that race, because it was you chasing Josh Clogg, and then you made a mistake, and then you were 5 seconds back all of a sudden. How much of it in that beginning was just waiting for the pit stops to come around?
Yeah, right away, once I saw the qualifying, I knew that I was probably going to need to fuel save. Lap 1, I had an opportunity, so I kind of tried to take it, and then he ended up getting the spot back after I forgot where I was for a second. And then, yeah, like after I made that mistake in the S's, I didn't really have a lot of confidence, so I knew that if I just took it easy and made it to the pit cycle, there's a lot of traffic in this series, so it would hopefully come back my way, and it ended up doing that.
And then, of course, you made that move in the pit lane. You just pitted 1 lap later, and you took a little bit less fuel, had a less of a pit lane time, and came out in front. From there, how much defending did you need to do? Because the 13 was lapping a handful faster than you on a couple of laps there, but you were doing a great job defending out in front.
Yeah, just trying to make the car as wide as possible. He was being very respectful. Didn't go for any lunges or anything. I mean, towards the very end, the last couple corners, he had to go for it. But up until then, it was very tense, sweating bullets. He was, like half a second, if that, behind me, basically the whole time. So, yeah, just trying to not let it stress me out too much, because I knew once I made a single mistake, it was going to be over. So, it was more just trying to keep my head in it.
And we're moving on to Interlagos from here, staying in the GT3 cars. How much do you think you can go 3 for 3 in these GT3 cars this season?
Well, I feel a little better at Interlagos than I do around here at COTA. So, there's a decent shot. I'm going to put some practice in it, try to be a little more consistent next week. And yeah, maybe if I get a better qualifying, we can go for a third one.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Apex Racing TV, and congratulations on your win here at COTA.
Thanks so much. Yeah, appreciate it.
Great to hear from Trevor Anderson, race winner in the number 211 Porsche here today from Circuit of the Americas. And we'll also talk with third place finisher Tyler Campbell, who is now standing by with Avery McDonald.
Hey, Tyler, man, congrats on a great run. I mean, you and Ashley had pretty much the battle of the whole race. Just tell us how you're able to maintain that good pace and take home that final spot on the podium.
Well, ultimately, it all started with being on the back foot with a really bad start. I got eaten alive there in turn 1, and everybody had elbows out, and it was quite frustrating compared to last week. We had a lot of really respectful guys, lots of space was given, and today I experienced a number of different incidents with other drivers, and ultimately when I got rear-ended on like lap I think it was like lap 8 or 9 or something like that. I knew I just had to dive into the pits, try to get my fast repair, and then hopefully pop out into some clean air so I could undercut, all the guys in front. Even though I was pitting, 9 laps early, I figured it was a good bet, and sure enough, having all that time to myself enabled me to just keep my head down and put down some laps and come out in front of Ashley, and then just have to try to break the draft from there. So it was just trying to keep the pressure on and just try to keep consistency and not overdrive.
Yeah, I think we noticed that when you had that damage coming into the pit road was obviously hindsight's 2020, the right call and get you on the podium. So COTA's a fun little track, but one thing I like to bring up is next week we got a total different track, and that's one thing. What I've noticed about this series is we're going to different types of tracks. So I mean, we're gonna see it next week.
Yeah, Interlagos is a is a classic. Definitely one that's great for racing of all disciplines as far as open wheel to GT racing. So it'll be really fun to get to put our talent and push it to the limit out in Brazil.
Awesome. Congrats on that final spot on the podium, Tyler. We'll see if you can make it up a couple more spots next week. And once again, congrats. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Great to hear from third place finisher Tyler Campbell here today. And that's going to wrap up our post-race coverage here. Final thoughts on that race, Avery, because, I mean, we saw intense battles from start to finish, and ultimately Josh Klog made a move at the end there. Just was not, the car just did not stick for that move.
No, absolutely. It's just a phenomenal race here from COTA. I said it before the race. GT3 cars, COTA, one of the best races you're going to see, and this definitely is one of the better races I've seen, and just goes to show pit strategy can do wonders, and that's what Trevor Anderson did. And with the call on pit road to take a little less fuel, drive it in a little harder coming in, it paid off for him. And real stellar run by Trevor Anderson and Josh Klog, the top two, and this whole entire field. If you like what you see, just come back next week.
And Scott, obviously, we saw a lot of great fuel mileage really work, and the 211 mentioned it. Trevor Anderson, your race winner, mentioned it. They saved fuel at the beginning of the race to try and stretch just a little bit more to the end so they could take less fuel and then get out in front of Josh Klog. That is exactly what he did, and that is how he won that race. We saw everything here today. Great battles, great fuel mileage. This was an amazing race around COTA.
Yeah, look, I mean, COTA, and it's most important to talk about the differences between COTA this week and Interlagos next week. COTA, whilst it may not necessarily create for excited racing 100% of the time, it did actually do that tonight. It is one of the more driver intense tracks. The driver is just about, it's about 90% of the lap under intense concentration. Any little mistake, you know, is going to put you off track. You're going to be grabbing, you know, your X's, your incident point limits are very, very crucial working around there at COTA. But look at the drivers, look at the breadth of setup styles, of car driving techniques, of fuel saving strategies. We saw all of that tonight, all of it, right throughout the field, because it's not just the front two. You can talk about Josh Klog and Trevor Anderson all you like, but you've also got to remember that the guys from P3, P4, Tyler Campbell, Ashley Molyneux had that third place on lock, and Tyler managed to save enough fuel and grab that one. Are we going to see another fuel-based race like that next week at Interlagos?
Well, if you want to find out, tune in 1 week's time here on Apex Racing TV, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, next Sunday. That'll be July 25th for the third round of the Cross Series League Racing season from the virtual Interlagos, once again using these GT3 cars. We'd like to thank two final sponsors here for the Cross Series League Racing season on Apex Racing TV. First being the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation is a non-profit, volunteer-fueled organization dedicated to finding cures for Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis and improving the quality of life of children and adults affected by these diseases. Visit them at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. Once again, that is Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. We'd also like to thank Shears Salon, located in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Shears Salon is a nice place to get your hair done. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Samantha Superior Styles. Once again, that is facebook.com/Samantha Superior Styles. Also, make sure you follow us everywhere. You can find us on social media at Apex Racing TV. You can also hit the follow button over on twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV. And make sure you hit the subscribe button over on YouTube, Apex Racing TV, and hit the notification bell to get notified whenever we go live for another broadcast. For our producer, Marco Barbonera, for race control provided by 24/7, for Scott Rankin in the booth, as well as Avery McDonald, my name is Joshua Lee. Thank you for joining us for round number 2 of the Cross Series League Racing season from the virtual Circuit of the Americas, and we'll see you in 1 week from the virtual Interlagos.